I should have been a little bit more prepared. Does work. This does work. Okay. All right. Hey guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna record a video live. I love doing these this way. I get the video uploaded. I don't have to deal with losing footage. You guys I asked you guys to submit some questions for a Q&A, and you guys submitted them. You guys are so wonderful. So many good questions. And then I lost the footage. We recorded it. I went and put it on Final Cut Pro to edit it, and it's lost. So I am just going to go ahead and instead of me having Ralph sit down and record with me, I'm just going to go ahead and do a live really quickly and answer all the questions that pertain to me only. And he's going to try to help me find the old footage that we did together. And hopefully he can, and then I'll upload that. So hello. Come on in. I'm going to go ahead. Like I said, it's a live video. I don't expect a whole lot of people to tune in live. But I want to answer the questions from the Q&A post that I posted. I lost that footage, but we will record again or we will find it. But until then, I want to answer your questions that pertain to me. I don't want to just not answer them, right? So I hope I'm in. I don't think I am. Hold on. I'm going to be answering you guys' questions that you posted. I'm in my my son's old nursery turned office because he doesn't sleep in it, so he shares a room. Yes, you can ask questions here. That would be awesome, actually. That would be awesome. I only have about, I think, like 6 questions. But let me go ahead and get into it for the people who are going to listen to this after the live. I don't want to just babble. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I just got back from dinner, so that's why I have like my shoulders out and stuff. I'm not trying to be like all extra. I went out for dinner tonight. But I want you guys to have a wonderful Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there, all of my subscribers who are mothers. Happy Mother's Day. I know a lot of you are. So happy Mother's Day. Make today or tomorrow a wonderful, wonderful day. Try to relax. Try not to do anything. I cleaned my house this morning so that I didn't have to do anything tomorrow. And my husband, he was at church while I was cleaning and doing some things. But when he got back, he pretty much just like catered to me, and then I went out to dinner and all that. So it's starting off a really good weekend. So let me go ahead and get into the first question. Let me turn on this fan. Hold on. All right. Okay. That's really low. All right. That's better. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the first question, guys. And thank you guys again for asking questions. I get a lot of questions in the comments of the videos themselves, but I just wanted to go ahead and have a post designated for questions that you guys might have. So the first question is, did you ever feel like you wouldn't get remarried? So for those who do not know, I was once married. I got married back in 2014. I believe, 14. A horrible, horrible marriage. It was never a marriage I was supposed to be in. Absolutely horrible, very emotional, mentally, and a little bit of physical abuse. It just wasn't a good marriage. And I realized that was not a marriage that God wanted me to be in. I was never meant to marry that man. I was never meant to be in that relationship. However, I did have a child outside of that, or not outside, out of that marriage. And I sought God after a year of being married to him and just kind of going through that. I sought the Lord, and through a dream, which is posted on my channel, one of the videos, I'm not sure the name of it, I think it was like I had a dream to divorce my husband, something like that. Through a dream, the Lord told me to divorce my husband. Let me take that back. He did not tell me to divorce my husband. He told me, watch the video, but basically he just gave me a dream answering the question. My husband had given me divorce papers. I didn't know what to do. I went to the Lord, and the last day that I was supposed to, like the last day I had to respond to the divorce papers, he gave me a dream, and the interpretation of that dream I received as it's time for me to go. Okay, so, and then only a few months later, he brought my husband into my life, my now husband, my soulmate, the love of my life. So it's a wonderful, wonderful story. God is good. If you let God write your love story, it won't look like anybody else's. It'll be amazing. So the question is, did you ever feel like you wouldn't get remarried? No. I knew from the beginning of time that I was going to be a wife. And I knew that the Lord had someone for me. Once I got saved, he ministered that to me. He always told me that he had something for me. He showed me like visions and things that I had from my childhood, that I was going to be married. I was going to have a few children. And so I knew that he had a soulmate for me. He does not create people and have intentions for people and destinies and purposes for people, but not think about who they're going to marry. So I knew he had someone for me. And so I didn't know who that was, but I knew the last guy was not it. And so once I divorced him, I was not afraid that I wouldn't get remarried. I knew it was going to happen. I just was very intentional about being in God's will. So, yeah. There was another question about physical appearance that I thought was a really good one. It says, thoughts on losing weight prior to dating. Does your physical appearance make a difference? If you're overweight, should you lose weight? If you're underweight, should you try to gain weight? So that's a really, really good question. And I actually love that question. As Christians, right, as children of God, sometimes we can become too deep. And we can say, well, you know, he should love me for who I am, or I need to just stay where I am and he'll accept me for whatever it is I bring to the table. And yes, that is true. There's grace for everything. For instance, at the time before I started dating my husband, I had just gotten divorced. So I was newly divorced. I had 2 children. I had 2 girls, a 8-year-old and a 1-year-old. And also I was out of work, newly divorced, new apartment, barely holding on to my car. I was in a really bad situation. And so I realized when he brought Ralph into my life, I just thought that that was just really bad timing. And in my mind, I was not ready. I had just gotten divorced and all these things were happening. And I just felt like the season of my life was not the season to now try to be in a relationship. And so I thought that that was just not going to happen. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. I just thought that that was just really bad timing. And that was not the case. God knew that my husband was going to be graced for whatever it was that I was coming to the table with, whether it was baggage, whether it was brokenness. And I'll get to that in a minute. We have a tendency to kind of look at brokenness and wholeness a little bit differently than the Lord does. So, you know, financially, all these different things that I was dealing with and having children and things that I thought that there were like bad things. They were detrimental. They were kind of holdups. They were, there were things that a man would kind of see as a negative. Were not the case at all. Now, did my husband want all of this? Did he have like a list of what he wanted in a wife and all those things were on that list? Oh, I want her to be broken. I want her to be divorced. I want her to have children. No, he actually didn't even want a woman with children. He wasn't against it, but when he thought of his wife, he didn't think, oh, I want to marry somebody with children already. So my point is, if I were overweight, right? What if that were one of the things? We have to be really careful, because and this is just to the person who, it says privacy preferred. Okay. So this is the person who asked that question. If you are overweight and you don't like it, change it. If you are overweight, but you want to change it because you feel as though it's hindering you from finding a husband, that's incorrect. There is someone for everyone. There are many, 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 many men who prefer thicker women. They even prefer overweight women. There are men who prefer really slender women. There are men who prefer tall women. I'm 5'11". There are men who prefer short women. There are men who prefer petite women. So to think that that this is a hindrance for you, if the Lord told you that it's a hindrance, now there's a possibility that the man that God has for you prefers his women to be, or his woman to be a particular way. So maybe if the Lord is unctioning you, hey, I need you to do this. Hey, I need you to do that. I have a friend who wears her hair short. She wears a pixie cut. Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, good stuff. I mean, it looks so good on her. And she wears her hair in a pixie cut. Well, whenever she tries to wear her hair long, the Lord gets on her about it, like putting weave in her hair. And she told me, she's like, hey, like, I just want to, like, sometimes you just want to wear it, flow, right? And she was like, every time I do it, the Lord is like, no. And I tell you, I knew from the moment she said that, and she knew from the moment that the Lord was like unctioning her to keep her hair short, is because that man, and she's single right now, that man who God has for her is going to catch his eye. As soon as he sees her, not only is her light and her joy for the Lord and her confidence that she walks around with when she wears her hair short, like, that's going to get his attention. Men are very physical. They love what they see. They see first, right? They don't feel like we do. They see first. So I know that is why her man loves that cut. I don't know where he is in this world right now, but wherever he is alive and well, and he's a person. So we're going to talk about him like he's a person. He loves the cut. And so that's why she's been told to keep it. So back to the overweight or underweight. If you are underweight and you don't like it, change it. If you are underweight and your health is being compromised because of it, or if you're overweight and your health is being compromised because of it, change it. If the Lord said, I need you to get with this, the Lord told me I gained weight, and he said that I had to get with it. Now, I don't think it's so much physically. I don't think it's an issue for me physically. I think I still look pretty good. I don't look as good as I was when I was more fit, but it's not that. It's that he told me that my blood pressure was high. And I didn't go to a doctor or anything. The Holy Spirit told me that my blood pressure was high. And then he was showing me different signs that my blood pressure had been high. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm 31, about to be 32 in June, and I had never experienced any type of health issues ever in my life. So that was weird to even think of. And I almost like went into like a sadness about it. Like, oh, you know how the enemy does, like every little thing he tries to use. And so, yeah, so my point is, and so I'm getting it under control. But I think my words, and this is just a side note, I think my words is what made this manifest in my life. My overweight, because I am a little overweight for my age and my height and all of that. But me being a little overweight and the blood pressure, that was manifested because of my words. When I started gaining weight last summer during COVID, I kept saying, oh, I'm so fat. Oh, I'm so big. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, look at how this is. Blah, 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 blah. Instead of saying, okay, I need to fix this. I need to stay in the gym. I need to watch what I eat. I wasn't doing that. I was speaking death over myself. I was speaking negativity over myself. And so now I'm seeing the repercussions of that. So yeah, don't change anything about yourself unless the Lord told you to. And don't do it because somebody else told you to either. That'll get you in a lot of trouble. Absolutely not. So, I think there was a question. Hey, you guys. Sorry, I'm trying not to. Okay, I know I look crazy right now. Oh my gosh. I look crazy. I look so sweaty, and I wore this makeup all day. Hey, Kiana. Yes, please do. Please do. Seriously. Oh, dear. Oh my gosh. Okay, King Pimp. I hate that that's your name, by the way. King Pimp. I don't even like saying it. King Pimp 2090. It's so funny that you say that. I hope you're still on, but it's so funny that you say that because this was on my heart today to talk about that. Thank you, Sabrina. Y'all, I'm telling you, you guys are like, I love you guys. Okay, so mental health, guys. Okay. So the Lord was talking to me on my way home. I just got home a few minutes ago, and the Lord was talking to me about this. He was saying, there's a song by Kira Sheard called Free. And my daughter danced to it a few weeks ago at church. And we were listening to it on the way home. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he was stirring in my heart. And this is the word he had for you guys. It's so funny that you asked me about that. This is the word he said. He was ministering to me about you guys. And he was saying how my sisters in Christ, depression, anxiety, suicide, thoughts of suicide, sadness, terrible, terrible insecurities. He was just ministering to me all these things. And he was saying that his daughters are dealing with this stuff, but they don't realize that they were never meant to deal with these things. And if they will just come to him and wholeheartedly seek after him and wholeheartedly spend time with him and receive everything he has for you, baptism of the Holy Spirit, praying in tongues, healing, deliverance, all of these things that the Bible speaks about. They're not the Old Testament. They're Bible principles. If we were to really take in everything he has for us, you would never deal with those things. You will never, ever, his will is not for you to ever deal with those things. Poverty, sadness, depression, anxiety, fear. I mean, all of these things, and all of these things I have dealt with in my life, so I'm qualified to even talk about it because it's real. It happens, and it's not a judgment. It's just saying the Father's heart is saying, I don't want you to deal with these things. And as a Christian, right, quote unquote Christian, as a follower of Christ, you were to never deal with it. It is not the will of God. And if you're dealing with depression and you're dealing with mental health, you go to God and figure out what this thing is. Don't let nobody diagnose you. Don't let nobody put you on an antidepressant. It's masking a bitter root issue. An issue that's at the core of you, at your spirit, things that has happened to you as a child, things that were said to you, spoken over you, things that your ancestors have dealt with and passed it down to you. A lot of things that we're dealing with because of our forefathers. And it is not a, well, if it's because of our forefathers, then, no, if it happened before and it was because of ancestors, that's something that can be fixed through prayer and supplication and deliverance and word time and all of these different things. So we're never supposed to deal with those things. So if you're dealing with any type of mental illness that we deem as mental illness, it's not mental illness. We call it that in the world. It's not mental illness. There are issues that you're finding yourself dealing with that are wrapped up in something else. There's a root. There's a root there. It is not whatever it is that they've tried to call it. So, this was an interesting question. So, what are the best ways to treat a narcissistic husband? So, it's funny because my ex-husband, not my husband now, my ex-husband was very narcissistic, is very narcissistic. I'm still dealing with things from his narcissism. And it's funny, I let my husband see that question, and he was just like, whew, that's a good question. So the best ways to treat a narcissistic husband, number one, narcissism is tough because narcissism is rooted in pride. And pride is hard to get through to because it's pride. Other, issues of the emotions and the flesh, those things you can kind of deal with, pray through, and you can pray for them, but you can't pray for somebody who's dealing with pride. You can pray for them, but don't expect that prayer is going to fix it because it's an issue of the will. So it's kind of like the person has to realize that there's a problem to fix. The person has to realize that they need a fixing. If they don't realize they need a fixing, then you're praying, but you're going to find more frustration than anything. The person needs to be able to realize that they need to change. And narcissism doesn't see fault in themselves. They see faults in everyone else. So it's really a tough situation. The only thing I can think of as far as that is to pray for your husband that he receives whatever it is that the Lord wants to even impart in him. Because if you're narcissistic, you're prideful, and prideful people don't see any fault in themselves because they're so lifted up. They're kind of looking down on everyone else. So I would treat him with love, because at the end of the day, you have to answer to the Lord about how you treated him. I had a dream about my ex-husband right after we got divorced. And in the dream, I don't want to go into too much detail about that dream, but in the dream, I was in front of the Father it was judgment. It was judgment day. And I was in front of the Father. I was at the foot of his throne. It was so intimidating that I couldn't even really look up at it. And it was dark and it was scary. It wasn't like, I don't know where they were getting these pictures of like angels flying, and it's like, oh, hello. That's in when you get there. But judgment, when you actually have to sit in front of the Father and he is figuring things out. I mean, if you look in Acts, it tells you, like, this is not a fun experience. It's just not. It's very intimidating and quite scary. But that's what it looked like. It was very scary. And my ex-husband was standing there, and all I know is that the Lord was bringing to my remembrance, like, it was like almost like a movie he was playing in front of me, all the arguments that we've had, all the issues that we had, all the things that I did, all the things that I didn't do, all the times that I've withheld from him, love, sex, whatever it is, all the things that I've done. He was showing it to me. And I'm sitting here like, and I remember, and I just kept pointing at him like, but did you see what he did? And then every time he would show me, like, yeah, you remember this time you didn't, I don't know, make his plate. And I was like, but do you remember at that very moment, the reason why I didn't make his plate is because he was cursing me out 5 minutes ago. And right 5 minutes before that. And he would show me something else. And I would say, but he did this right before that. Like, it was a repercussion of what he did. And everything he would show me, I had an excuse for. And I remember just bawling. I was bawling at the throne. And I was just crying, and I was just thinking all the things I would have changed if I had an opportunity to. And I woke up from that dream, and I was crying so hard. And I remember just repenting. And I wasn't repenting for anything but what I've done. And repenting for being the victim. And, oh, woe is me, and all he's done to me, when I had a part to play. Not that I deserved it, but there was things that I could have done that was different. And so I remember just praying, and just repenting for everything. Everything that he reminded me of, I was trying to remember, and I was just repenting. And I just was apologizing. And then I picked up the phone, and I called my ex-husband. We were divorced. He was doing his own thing. It wasn't anything like that. But I picked up the phone, and I called him. And I left a voicemail. I'm so happy he didn't answer. But I left a voicemail, and I was just crying. And I was like, I am sorry. I'm sorry for everything that I've done. All the times that I've said that it was you when it was me. All the things that I didn't do regardless of what you did. And to be honest with you, I wasn't doing it for him. I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it because I did not like the feeling that I felt in the dream. I don't want to ever sit in front of the Father and have to or not even just apologize, but I don't want to ever feel like I disappointed him. And that's the feeling that I had in the dream. And the Lord, I truly believe that the Lord gave me that dream so that I could repent and that I could ask for forgiveness, but also it was my healing process. I had to stop being the victim. I had to realize and fess up to my faults. So I ended up doing that day, and I left a message for him. He didn't accept it. He just was like, oh, okay, I got your voicemail. It wasn't about that. I knew that I had to do whatever I had to do to make it right with the Father. And when I did that, I felt complete peace. And even after that, whenever I would kind of fall into like a pity party, I would be like, you know what, Lord, sorry, because it's not about who did who wrong. It's just over. And so I'm saying all that to say, with a narcissistic husband, you can find yourself in a situation where you are faced with the choice to make. Do I walk in love, or do I give him what he deserves? And we have to be like the Father in that situation, in all situations, but especially in our love walk, because God does not give us what we deserve. He gives us grace, and he gives us unchanging love, and, you know, just relentless love. And we have to be like that to others. And so even now, I have to do that with him, regardless. So I know it was kind of long, but okay, so seeing all that you have son together, were there ever plans on when you would have children, how long you would wait, or was the pregnancy planned? The pregnancy was not planned. We got married on June 24th, 2018. Yes, 18. And so we waited to have sex until marriage. So we consummated the marriage that night, right? At the honeymoon. Sorry, it wasn't honeymoon. It was at the venue that we had the wedding in, the hotel. That's where we stayed that night, at the hotel. We didn't go to our honeymoon until August. Yeah, we didn't go on a honeymoon until August. Well, I found that I was pregnant when we got back from our honeymoon. So we believe that the timeline shows that Luke is a wedding night baby. We like to call him the honeymoon baby, but technically I was pregnant at the honeymoon, didn't know it, but we found out when I got back. So yeah, did we plan it? No. We knew that it was going to be fast. And we weren't surprised that it was going to be fast, or that it was fast, that we had another child together. The reason why is because the Lord already told us before we had Luke that we were going to have a son. Before we got married, I had a dream, and this is before we were even dating. I just knew him in church, but I didn't know him like that. Well, he was in one of my dreams. I had a dream, and I was holding a baby boy, a newborn baby boy who was so chocolate. And I was holding this chocolatey baby boy, and Raphael walks up to me. He kisses the baby, and then he kisses me. Well, that freaked me out because I didn't even think about him like that. And when I had this dream, that was weird. So I called my girlfriend. I was like, hey, I had this dream about Ralph. And she's like, who's that? And I'm like, the guy at church. And he's like, oh, she said, oh, you're talking about the guy you said that you want your husband to be just like? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, well, maybe that just means your husband's going to be just like him. Maybe the Lord was just confirming that. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, maybe so. And that wasn't the case anyway. That was a prophetic dream. The Lord was showing us our future. Well, showing me our future. And so I knew we were going to have a baby boy. Luke had been prophesied. So I knew he was going to come. So he came really quickly. So it was not planned. We have a few more questions. Okay. Sorry, that kind of... there was one more. There was one question that we already answered. Now, again, I did this video with Ralph, answering all these questions. Sorry, guys. I think I have. Now, when you talk too much, you have lip gloss on. Okay. Sorry, a little candid. But we did this video, Ralph and I lost the footage, but I will find it, I think. But I'm going to answer just one more question that pertained to me. And then we'll probably have to do another one with him and I so that he can answer the questions that he had about him. But it was a question about intimacy. So sex after marriage, was it different, being that we didn't have sex prior to marriage? Different meaning, was it different from what I've experienced before? I guess that's the question. That's kind of weird. But, I mean, it's a good question, I guess. Was sex the right way different from sex the wrong way, I guess? And then did it change our intimacy, the fact that we didn't have sex prior? Was it, did we have a better intimate relationship, I guess? So we did not do anything prior to marriage. When we did get married, we did. And so would I say it changed anything as far as our intimacy is concerned? It made us stronger. I mean, my husband and I are intimate without sex. We really are. And I know that but it's true. It's true. We don't really have to do that. And what it did to me, withholding that from him and him withholding that from me, holding something sacred, which is our bodies, what that really did was it drew God into our marriage. And so God was in our relationship dating, God is in our relationship now. It made a way for him, because when you're having sex with someone and you're courting them for marriage, what you're doing is you're getting God out of the way. God is never in the midst of sin. So just like when Jesus was on the cross and it seemed as though God had forsaken him, it's because when he took on our sin, God couldn't be in the presence of sin. And so it was the first time he felt a separation from the Father. And so it's the same way when we're doing things and we're doing things outside of the will of God and we're in sin and you feel that separation, is because it's not that he's forsaken you. He hasn't. He will never do that. He just can't be in the presence of sin. And so when you're dealing with a relationship and you're having sex in a relationship and you're wondering why am I not hearing from the Lord? Or, why do I feel a separation? You might still hear from him because he's still your Father, but there's a separation. You can feel it. And that relationship is probably not drawing you closer to the Lord. And so the fact that we withheld sex and we made sure that we not do that while we were dating, what it did was it just welcomed God in. And so it was a three-way relationship where we were getting to know one another in the presence of the Lord. And it was just marvelous. And so that created an intimacy that we couldn't duplicate with sex. Sex just it made the intimacy stronger, because intimacy or sex is a way to, heighten intimacy, to connect with one another on a different level. But it's not better than communication. It's not better than time spent. It's just different. And so, it didn't really change anything. If anything, it just made our relationship stronger. I would have never changed anything. If anything, I probably would have just waited to kiss him too. Kissing, there wasn't anything wrong with kissing before marriage, but what it did was it made waiting for marriage a lot harder. So if I could do anything over, I probably would just not have kissed him until the day we got married as well. It just made waiting stronger. When we started kissing probably 4 months into the marriage, 4 months into the dating, and it was just really hard. Like when you do that, ooh boy, man, it gets hot. It gets hot, okay? So yeah, but I think we're done. Anybody have any questions on here? If not, I'm going to go ahead and post this for people to watch. It's 34 minutes long. So if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and put them there. If not, I will see you guys in the next video. Going once, going twice. Alrighty guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Those of you who have. And if you have not already subscribed, go ahead and do that. And you'll see me in the next video. Hopefully, Ralph will be with me. And you guys have a wonderful Mother's Day. I love you guys so much. You guys mean everything to me. And I'm so blessed and honored to be able to come before you and minister to you and just be able to share my testimony with you guys. Just absolutely wonderful. So I don't take it lightly. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.